Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is KairoS and welcome to my review of Naval Action post the May 2023 update. Now, it's been a week since the update came out and I've had a little bit of time to mess around on the open world and have a think about the changes, test out some of the changes. I should state right away that there are things I haven't tried, most notably PvP. I'm not really a PvP player. I prefer to do trade and PvE, so it's not really my area of expertise. You're going to have to ask other people how the PvP scene has changed because, to be honest, I avoid it most of the time. And I haven't been sunk yet since the update came out. However, in other respects, I think I've tested out pretty much everything that's important, and I'm going to go through this. I've been thinking a long time about how I'm actually going to go about this, but I think the best thing is just to start recording and start talking and see how we go. I'm going to talk about the good and the bad, but we're going to get the really big elephant in the room out of the way first, and that is, of course, the PvE zones and what I think about those. So let's get into that right now. If you look up here, we actually have, as of today, I believe, I noticed this, we have a vote, a poll we can do here. And you can, I've already voted, but you can choose either of these two options, and you can actually give the devs some feedback on how you feel about these changes so far. I recommend, even if you're not playing at the moment, to just log on and do this so you can have your say. We can't see the results yet because it's just popped up recently, but yeah, go up here and see if you can vote. We have 7 days as of recording to do this, which shows, I think, that the devs have been noticing that this change has caused some strong opinions to surface, let's just say. So what do I think about the PvE zones? Well, let's go to the map to discuss this, shall we? Okay, so if you log into the game now and you check out the map, this is what you will see. An awful lot of very sickly green. That's a lot of green. What can I say? If you're a PvP player now, the only areas that you really have available to you are Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and most of the Bahamas. The rest of the map is, for all intents and purposes, a safe zone. Of course, open waters is still fair game as far as PvP is concerned, but no one's out here. There's no reason to be out here unless you're doing a trade run, and the chances of finding someone in this open water is pretty sparse. You could be out here for hours and never see anyone. Unless you were really familiar with the trade routes, I suppose. Maybe you might have a chance. But I've never been caught out here. For example, if I was trading between, I don't know, let's just say I was trading between Port Royal and Encontrados down here. The only danger would be around ports. Once I'm out of sight of land and into the Caribbean Sea, I just go and make a cup of coffee. I know that I'm not going to encounter anyone. I've never been attacked out here. Same with the Atlantic Ocean. Never been attacked out here. So I can understand why the PvP players might be a little bit upset about this. So what do I think about it? Well, in short, I think that broadly speaking, the idea of PvP zones is an excellent idea. One of the better ideas that the devs have had for a very long time. However, I do think they've gone overboard with this. So Naval Action for a long time has had a pretty unpleasant ganking culture. There are admittedly not a lot of players, but some players seem to enjoy spending their entire time in-game camping outside of enemy home ports, waiting for new players to blunder into their trap, which is, apart from being an extremely uncivilized way to play, the direct cause, I think, I would speculate, as to why this has become necessary. And I do think it is necessary to have PvE zones in this game, but I don't think it should be quite on this scale. So what I'm actually going to do for you guys is draw a map, just quickly, of this general area where the 4 major nations of the Caribbean server are, and I'm actually going to go and put my 2 cents in, as it were, and just give you an idea of how I would implement PvE zones in this game if I had the ability to do so. So I'm just going to put a cut in here and go do that for you. Alright guys, so this is basically how I would do it if I was implementing PvE zones into Naval Action. This isn't the entire map, but it's showing the parts of the map that matter. I would have on the Caribbean server, I would have 4 zones, and as you can see, they are centered around Kingston, Port Royal, Fort Royal for the French, Mortimer Town, and La Havana, which are the 4 nations that we currently have in game. If other nations were added, then obviously new PvE zones would be added. For example, if we had, you can't see it on this map because it's cut off at the top, but say you had the Americans brought into the game around Charleston, well, you'd have a similar size zone around Charleston. This isn't perfect, of course, because some of these zones are more densely packed than others, so the French have a lot more ports than the pirates, for example, but these zones are more or less the same size, more or less, and I think this gives you a rough idea of how I would personally implement this. And obviously the rest of this map that isn't marked in this bright green that I've drawn along here, this would all be just as it was PvP areas. So players would know, okay, if I stay in this area, it's a big area, plenty of room for a new player to get the hang of the game. Obviously, these ports would still be capturable by other nations, so it's not like these ports would be restricted to the British, for example. The system that's currently implemented where you can capture, other nations can capture ports in a safe zone will be implemented, but basically the zones would be shrunk and made much more sparse. And you notice there's big gaps between these, so there's risk from traveling from one spot to another. At the moment, what we have is a system where a trade ship can just sail along coastal waters and basically cover the entire map from, you know, north to south, west to east, without any danger whatsoever, unless they're trying to get through this area here, which is basically the only part of the map that hasn't been turned into a PvE zone, essentially. And of course, open waters, nothing happens out here. You're not going to find anyone out here, so what's the point in having this a PvP area? So this is how I would do it. You guys have a look at that. If the devs are watching, I invite them to think about that. I think this would work better personally, and I'd be really interested to hear what you guys have to say about it. So let's continue with the rest of the video, shall we? Okay, so here we are back in port, in this case Mortimer Town, and I'm going to give a brief summary of how I feel about the update generally before I get into any battles or anything like that. Do you want the good news or the bad news first? Let's start with the bad news. Bad news is there have been a few things that have changed, I think, for the worse. It wouldn't be a Naval Action update if it didn't have at least some silly changes that make no sense. The PvE zones are too big. I've already discussed that. The other one I've noticed, if we go into the journal here, go into missions, we have less missions available. I feel like there's less cargo missions and passenger missions available than there used to be. And for some reason, some bizarre reason, which I'm yet to fully understand, if any of you guys know why, please let me know in the comments. But the kill missions seem to have disappeared. Why, I cannot imagine. My only theory is that the devs, typical of Naval Action devs, are trying to increase the amount of time that people spend logged in game, and they realize that kill missions are a good way to quickly grind out your service medals. You're going to spend a lot more time in game if you have to look for those kills rather than just grab a kill mission, sail to your destination, and, you know, kill something. Hopefully that isn't the reason, and hopefully we will see kill missions return, because I think that they were a nice addition to the game. I haven't tested out the race yet. If we go into events, you can now see we have the solo race. But to be honest, the more I think about it, the less interested I am in this. At the moment, the prize pool is pretty incredible, so somebody's definitely trying this out. But I have, to be honest, very little interest in doing this. I wouldn't say it's a negative per se, but again, it's just not something I'm playing Naval Action for. I'll go play Mario Kart if I want to race somebody. The other thing that's very obvious and is kind of a side effect, I think, of the new damage model, which is broadly a good thing, is I've noticed if you're doing smaller ships, so for example, today we have the Nassau Patrol, previously, you'll notice the damage tier has been tweaked here, but previously, I could get my 10 to 15 medals within half an hour of doing this. So I could go out and sink a couple of 6th rates in the patrol zone and I would be done for the day. Now, because of the change to the damage, I have to sink 4 to 6 similar sized ships to get up to this 7.5k damage tier. So that's a bit unfortunate because I used to enjoy doing the Nassau patrol. It's become a lot more time consuming to actually do that now, which is, I think, a side effect of the new damage with the guns and so on. You know, if you've got 6-pounders on your ship, you're only doing 6 damage per cannon, so it's going to take a long time to get up to 7,500 damage, right? So unfortunately, the Nassau patrol is kind of dead for me at the moment. That's another negative. Now, the only other thing that I can think of at the moment anyway that is a problem is at least that I've noticed so far, is the loot that you get off ships seems to have been reduced. Previously, you were getting quite nice wads of doubloons. I'm getting a lot less doubloons in the PvE areas. Do let me know in the comments below if you guys are noticing a tremendous difference between killing AI in the PvE zones versus the PvP zones. I, to be honest, have not noticed that much of a difference so far. But then I haven't been doing a great deal of... I haven't done enough AI hunting in those areas to know for sure. So let me know if you guys are finding really rare upgrades or anything like that in that area, because I haven't noticed any difference there. And I do think it's a little bit time consuming to grind away into the... especially for doubloons, you know, and I'm trying to do a lot of crafting, so it's noticeably more difficult now to earn enough doubloons to build decent ships if you're a PvE player. So, yeah, I do miss my doubloons turning up in trade ships and so on. So, but that's about it. That's all I can really think of at the moment as far as negatives are concerned, unless you were to be of the opinion that the damage from stern raking is a little bit excessive, which is a theory that I'm still working on. I'm not sure if I think this is a good thing or a bad thing. We'll get into that when we talk about the combat, but stern raking now is going to be ridiculously powerful, at least with similar sized ships. So once you lose your armor on the stern, if you get raked, you are going to sink within 1 to 2 broadsides. It's going to be absolutely devastating. So I don't know how that's affecting the PvP scene. It makes PvE a lot more interesting, but I'm still deciding whether I think that's a good thing or a bad thing. So that's pretty much the negatives out of the way, and now we can happily talk about the positives, and there are quite a few positives to talk about. And to do that, I'm actually going to probably leave port and go looking for something to attack, although we won't be doing it in this ship. I might go to Savannah and grab a 5th rate, seeing as that's a good middle-of-the-road ship, to demonstrate how the damage has changed, how the battles have changed, and how much more well, naval action actually feels now, thanks to the changes to combat. Okay, so here we are at Savannah, which has been my 5th rate port for a while now. Good place to come and hunt for similar sized 5th rates. You do find some 4th rates here as well. And now we get into the meat and potatoes of the update. Most of the changes that are worth talking about are combat related, and so this is going to be quite a long video, I suspect, as we go into the combat. First change you'll probably notice if you come in here is if you look at your navy and check your ships, you'll notice that the experience has changed. So you will find some of the ships you've been leveling up previously have got more slots than you had or thought you had, because now, as you can see, the experience has been tweaked. Some people are saying it's easier to level up. Some people are saying it's harder. If you look in the comments down here in the chat, I find it easier. I'm actually finding it pretty good to level up now. Smaller numbers. So, yeah, I mean, it's been tweaked. What can I say? The experience gain has changed very much. You'll probably notice your rank has changed considerably, and your ships will be different now. As far as their books are concerned. Speaking of books, we need to put a extra book onto this ship, which I've been leveling up. This is the Indefatigable, and we're going to be putting, we've probably got the Gunnery Encyclopedia up there already. Do we want Book of 5 Rings or Art of Ship Handling? Art of Ship Handling, I think. Let's bump the speed up on this thing. And you can see there, this is just a very basic sort of relatively fast leveling build. I want to be able to catch traders in this ship, so I built her out of Live Oak and Live Oak S, Mahogany S. She's very fast. Good ship. I had plenty of these timbers lying around, so I used what I had. And there she is. So we're going to be taking this out today, and we're going to attack some things. So the other thing that's changed, and you will notice right away in port, is the actual perks. They have changed significantly. You can now earn these points here over time as you gain experience. And this system works pretty well. Let's just view these. I'm not going to reset them now, but I've got my combat build set up here. You basically have these seamanship perks, gunnery perks, boarding perks, survival perks, and then you've got these other useful perks here. And you've got your bravery, fleet perks, and then your old economy ones here. Now, I should have probably mentioned this in my earlier segment about the negatives, but one thing I have noticed about this is some of the, although I do like this system where you've got these increasingly good versions of this. You've got basic seamanship, then you go competent. You can see there, over time you just get better as you earn more points. You can eventually get up to master seamanship, and you get 1.25% speed increase. You get yard and heel, yard increased, heel decrease. It's great. Same with master gunnery. I like this. However, we have lost a couple of perks that I used to enjoy putting on there. So the big one that everyone, I've had like 3 or 4 comments now on my channel with people asking me, where is the prepared perk? People love the prepared perk. It's gone. And yeah, I'm just as surprised as you guys that perks have disappeared. This has changed a lot more than I thought it would. A lot of the old boarding perks are gone as well. So you really have to rely on these are basically the perks that you're going to be taking now for combat. The economy perks are more or less left alone, but the combat perks have been changed. I have noticed just today, actually, that if you take, as I have, if you take double charge and double shot, they're basically one perk now. So I took double shot, and I noticed I have both double shot and double charge available in my ship, which is actually a really interesting change. So those 2 perks have been kind of combined now, interestingly. And otherwise, I just recommend taking seamanship, gunnery, boarding, and survival as high as you can at the current level that you're at. And then just take perhaps double charge, or maybe hold optimization, or a sextant if you're getting lost. And that's what I do for combat now. But the prepared perk is gone. A lot of people have commented on it. I have a theory as to why it's gone. I think it's because the devs didn't want people with the new changes to the stern raking. I don't think the devs wanted people spawning into a battle, tagging an AI with the stern facing them. They want you to maneuver into a position where you can get a good stern rake in, rather than just tag an AI or even a player if you can get them to stand still long enough in a position where you can instantly get a broadside and kill off all their armor at once. So I think there is actually a reason, and for once a good reason, why they actually took it away. But I do understand why people miss it, because it is kind of frustrating that it's gone. What they should have done is taken away the prepared perk, and then also made sure that the AI ships didn't have their cannons loaded as well. So that way we're on an even playing field. It does increase time to sink, I know, but I have a theory as to why they've done it. So it's gone, and I don't think it's going to be coming back anytime soon. But the perks have changed. Check them out. Experiment with whatever points you have, and just try these out. But I do recommend, if you're doing combat, take the best of these that you can. Prioritize probably survival and gunnery and seamanship, depending on whether you're chasing other warships or trade ships. And yeah, just try it out, and try not to be too sad about the fact that we no longer have prepared available to us. Now, the other thing I almost forgot to mention there is the BR rating has changed. So if we come to the Indefatigable, which I'm about to take out, you see it's a BR of 100. The Surprise is a BR of 40. Renome 40. Pirate Frigate 65. You get the idea. So you can just go through your Navy. If you come down to the smaller ships, I've got a Navy brig here, 22 BR. So BR rating has changed considerably. You're going to have to get used to that and learn this new system. BR10 for the trader links. You get the idea. So BR rating is very, very different. That's another thing that people have been asking on my channel in the comments. They say, hey, what happened to the BR? Well, it's changed with the update. I don't know why, but they decided that it needed to change, so we're going to have to learn a whole new BR system now. That's fine. You could say that's a negative as well, but I don't really mind that much. It's not a problem for me. So I think we're ready now to actually go out into the open world and look for something to sink. And I'm going to be looking for a bit of a mix of ships here. We'll see what we can find. There should be plenty of AI to sink outside of Savannah here. So let's go. Okay, so here we are, and of course the wind is not in our favor. But you'll notice, if you're familiar with this particular port, previously you didn't see a lot of third rates around, and now I'm seeing third rates, these United States here hanging around outside the port. So they have changed the spawn locations for some of these ships. So check that out. I have no idea how that works at the moment. All I've noticed is things are different. The other thing you'll notice is larger, there aren't any around here that I can see, but you'll often notice larger fleets of 6 to 8 sort of ships, and a mix. I'm talking about AI here, of course, and you'll notice a mix of ships of different classes now. So for example, this Essex here, which we're about to attack, has a fleet of one small ship here. So it has a small boat in escort, which is a wonderful change in my opinion. It makes the battles, the AI battles that is, a little more interesting. And you'll just have to excuse this very slow attempt at tagging here. Okay, so that's a French ship. So we're not going to be tagging that right away. Or that's not going to get dragged into battle, I don't think. Now, if you attack anything bigger than you, it's going to be noticeably more difficult now. So if I could take out this USS United States here, it's a one-on-one fight, and it could be done pretty well. But you are going to feel it now if you take on a bigger ship than you. So we're not going to do that at the moment. Instead, we're going to take on this similarly sized... This is a smaller fifth rate than us, but it'll do for demonstration purposes, and we have this smaller ship here as well. So I'm going to tag this the angle a little bit so we hopefully don't get attacked right away, because we don't have prepared anymore. That'll do. And we'll slowly, if you just excuse my extremely slow computer and extremely slow internet, we will log in here and I'll show you right away what we can do. Okay, I've finally logged in. So yeah, no prepared perk, and oh, wonderful. Even though I tried not to spawn there, I ended up tagging it. That would be a perfect spot if I had prepared, but I don't, so I'm going to receive a broadside here. But you'll notice that I now have double charge and double shot if I take that perk. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load double charge first until we get their armor down. You can see there, wow, barely touches me. The damage is very different now, so now that he's blown his load, I'm going to get underway. The reloading is faster now, which is wonderful, but also I don't want to be stern raked. So even the AI can do a lot of damage if they do get a good stern rake in. Let's actually get full sail just for a moment here. Another thing I do now is I close off the repairs unless I'm using them, which I am right now. Emergency repairs. So we'll let them finish cleaning that up, and in a minute we should be able to fire our first broadside. Convergence of... Aim for the waterline here. Get ready. And fire. You can see there that Didn't do a lot of damage because we're aiming for the sides there. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to attack into the wind, even though we're going quite slowly. There we go. My computer's running a little slow today, guys. So hopefully the video will turn out looking okay. You know what, we're going to load double shot now on this side. And what I'm going to try and do is stern rake this guy. So what you'll notice is when the battle begins, the first few broadsides will barely scratch the paint off the side of these ships. But when you actually start doing damage, that damage will become exponentially more damaging, more destructive. So what you will find is you want to keep your own repairs up. You want to make sure that you stay with your armor up, well above, 50%, well above, if you want to make sure you don't get yourself killed. So what I will demonstrate here, as we are now loading double shot on this side, close off this. We have better aim as well for the long guns. Now look at the damage this does. Goodbye. Thank you for playing. I like that. So that little 7th rate was gone in a single broadside. Not a chance in hell. This ship here is unfortunately going to be able to get out of this. Let's go to battle sails here. You want to get into the habit of staying at battle sails because I'm just going to blow my load, whatever. Because even if you're playing against AI, you want to get into the habit. If you do any PvP, you're going to want to keep your sails at battle sails now because there she goes. Just fire that. Because the damage to sails now with full sails is going to be huge. I've noticed that when I try to take out trade ships, it's very easy to dismast ships when they have their sails at full. So I got that closed off. I'm going to wait in the hope that she turns around. Let's just fire off our 42-pounder carronades. I'm hopefully going to get them to know they will turn around the other way. Okay, fine. We will do it this way. We'll just fire. I haven't really chosen the best ship for stern raking. Probably should have gone with something a little smaller and nippier. But I do want to try and demonstrate in this video at least at some point a good stern rake. I am going to have to clip this down a little bit because these battles do take longer. Time to sink has definitely increased, as I'm sure you can see. But be comforted because although right now it looks like I'm not doing much damage, once we get their armor down, you really are going to notice. You really are going to notice their armor disappearing really fast once it gets down to below 40-30%. Let's just fire off our KairoS. I fired a bit early there, doesn't matter. And I'm hoping I can get them to present their stern eventually. I might just follow her around. You can see there, because I'm a heavier ship than she is, with a much higher battle rating, she's got much lighter guns. I think she's using 12-pounders, whereas I have, 24-pounders, I believe, on the Indefatigable. So I'm doing a lot more damage than she is. The strength of the gun is really going to make a huge amount of difference now. Let's see if we can stern rake her. Still loading double charge on one side, and double shot on the other. I'm not tremendously fussed by that at the moment, but she's in irons, so if I could just, I'm going to get some sail here, and if I could just get around and get a stern rake in, I can show you just how devastating this is. You won't notice a difference until, nah, I'm not going to be able to make it. I'm just going to fire while we got her weak side. Boarding as well has changed. Notice there that this ship has 462 crew, which is a lot more than that ship should be carrying. That means she's got a lot of Marines on board. So boarding is going to be really very dangerous now. Be careful if you think that the ship is overcrewed. That's probably a sign that they've got a lot of very angry Marines on board who will be very happy to swarm your ship and counterattack. Boarding is much more difficult than it was before the update. So I'm going to put a cut in here at this point, and once I start, just fire this last broadside here, and you can start to see some of the damage we're doing. What do I want to fire first? I think I probably should fire my double charge first, shouldn't I? There we go. You can see now it's starting to damage the actual structure of the ship as well. So some of those went over the top there. But I'll put a cut in here, and I'll try and get into a position to stern ranker. But these battles do go on a long time now. And you will notice that if you're fighting something bigger than you, you're really going to have a lot of shooting to do before you get the side armor down. Well, I'm not getting stern rakes, but I am getting a bow rake, which is good. Fire up. You notice there, okay, that's got rid of the bow armor. Obviously, stern raking is going to be more effective. But when you finally manage to whittle down the bow or stern armor, you will notice how very quickly you whittle down their structure. It can be absolutely devastating. At the moment, I'm having trouble getting this thing to stand still long enough to actually let me get the rake in, and I would like to show you guys a rake. But I have noticed, just even playing against the AI, that I really do keep an eye on my stern and bow armor. I'm thinking that PvP, if you're getting into PvP, you might be well advised to take, what is it called? Strong bow and stern perk, not perk, upgrade. There's an upgrade which will increase your bow and stern strength. Let's see if we can get a rake in here. Look at the damage there. Look at that going down. There you go. So that is your bow rake. And she's dead. Down goes her mainmast. Sorry, not her main. Her mizzen and her foremast just went down. And she's done. That was a single volley there. Once I got her structure down a bit. Once I had whittled down her bow armor, she was gone. So, if you lose your armor in this game now, especially in PvP, and you get raked, you are going to feel it like never before. But it's going to take a lot of whittling down for a 6th rate, for example, to sink to destroy the stern armor of a 1st rate. It's going to take a lot of shooting to get to that point. But once you are at that point, you should probably start being worried. So I recommend taking strong bow and stern to try and, keep your stern as safe as possible if you're doing a lot of PvP. That would be my initial recommendation. Anyway, you guys can let me know if that turns out to be a meta thing. I will feel smart if I'm let's not take any of that. So I think that gives you an idea of how things have changed as far as combat is concerned. You can see there I didn't use any repairs, and fighting a smaller 5th rate like that, well, it wasn't exactly difficult. Okay, well, we're back in port. That battle is over, and I think that's pretty much all I have to say on the update thus far. Obviously, I haven't covered everything that there is to talk about. One thing I forgot to mention is the crew has been changed here. I think this is deliberate. So the minimum crew, now you have to have a full crew to leave port. So if I did this, for example, and I tried to leave, well, now it will tell me, no, you can't leave port. I think this is to stop people from undercrewing and losing their fancy ships because they're dumb enough to go out with half the crew. And I also think it's there because people are always, myself included, forgetting to recrew. So that's been changed as well. Apparently there's also a system now where there's a countdown if you drop into another battle and another person sinks a AI ship. you're going to have to wait for 20 seconds or something before you can actually loot. It's basically a system to try and stop loot thieves from dropping into battles and stealing people's loot. So I haven't talked about that because I haven't tested that. So there are other smaller features, tweaks to the gameplay that I could talk about. There's also a tweak to the number of repairs you need. You'll notice when you're taking your ships out that they need a lot less repairs than they used to. For example, this Indefatigable takes only 8 hull repairs now and 2 rig repairs. But these are minor changes. If there's anything else I have forgotten to mention, please let me know in the comments. And if you are a PvP-focused player, let me know what your experience of PvP has been thus far in the last week since the updates come out, because I really couldn't say when it comes to PvP. But that's all I have to say, really. I hope this video was somewhat amusing and useful to you guys. This has been KairoS. Thank you all very much for viewing. I'll see you next time.